Peace, family. So, I haven't done a Leaders or Readers video in a very long time. I feel like, well, outside of a Black children's story, which you can get on Amazon today if you already haven't. So, I picked up this book yesterday, and I actually finished reading it yesterday too. It's called African Mythology by Linda Jacobs Outman, and I picked it up from the library down the street from my house. So, I just thought that I would share it with you all, because basically I realized that many of us Africans, we don't have history or knowledge of what it is that our people believed before we got here. And basically this book is a book that pretty much puts life and creation in context. It tells us how the Africans make sense out of how we got here. And really what you learn through reading is that the Bible, the Quran, Hinduism, all these different philosophies, Greek mythology, they all have their own beliefs of how we came to be, but they're all very common and similar in ways. The only thing that really separates them is the people who are telling the story and the relevance that those people had to the story that they saying, you know. So we change up the story from people to people. I read this and I realize that the Bible is really a European mythology book. Just like this, African mythology is an African mythology book. Hinduism is a, Indian, I don't even want to say just Indian, but that kind of mythology book. So Greek mythology is for Greeks. You feel me? So with that, all it is mythology, because it all makes sense. But either way, this video is going to be a little longer than the rest. But what I decided to do was to read y'all a chapter a day from this book, because it's really, really great. It talks about how the world came to be, just little random things. And it doesn't say everything because it's only a 100-page book. So it doesn't talk about everything on how the world came to be. It's a lot of holes, but don't the Bible got holes? And I just think that especially for those, just for every African, we should know African mythology. We should know what our people believed or what sense they made out of the world. And this is not the only story too. And if you read the preface and the introduction, you'll realize that every people in Africa, ethnicities and tribes and stuff, they had different beliefs. So it's not limited to the stories that's in this book, because our history is the longest history of the planet. So that means that we got so many different stories. So either way, I'm going to start reading this book now. It'd be great if we knew the stories of how the earth was created and stuff, based off of what our ancestors believe, not just based off of what the European taught us. You know what I mean? So if I say anything wrong, like pronounce things wrong, please, bear with me. But also feel free, if you know the correct pronunciation, put it below in the comment section. All right, 12:15, because I'm making a video. Yeah, I'm finna actually catch a bus out of town. But either way, put it in the comment section. Let me know how I should really be saying it, because it's not like I want to say things wrong, but I also want to get this information across. So the way it's set up is that every chapter has an introduction, right? So the way I'm gonna do my videos is a part 1 and a part 2 of the same story. This story that I'm reading today, which is the first chapter of the book, is called Coming Down from the Sky, and it's the story of how the world was created. So with that being said, this is the part 1. It's the introduction before the actual story. Every video will be set up like that. It's 7 stories that there is, so it'll be 14 videos altogether, most likely. I don't want to persuade y'all, move y'all too much into my own beliefs. I just want to read it, and if y'all want to discuss it, let's discuss it in the comment section, because I feel like we should all make sense of it in the way that we're going to make sense out of it, the same way that I feel like with the Bible. We all going to interpret things differently, you feel me? So with that being said, I'm going to just start, because now it's already 5 minutes in and I ain't even read the book. Okay, this is called the Yoruba of Nigeria. That's what this introduction is, because the coming down from the sky, this is the story of the Yoruba people and what they tell as far as how the world was created. This story is a creation myth from the Yoruban people of Nigeria. The Yoruba are not a single tribe, but a group of tribes that share a mythological tradition and a language. At the beginning of the 21st century, about 20 million people spoke some form of this language. Long before Europeans arrived in Africa, many Yorubas lived in densely populated states. Of these, the city of Ife, which means love, was most important. It was a center of sacred wisdom and was said to have been founded on the very spot where god Obatala first came down from the sky. Obatala formed the world and shaped human beings out of clay, but the Yoruban creation myth does not begin with him. It begins with the mysterious, formless Orishinla and a rebellious slave called Atunda. Atunda killed Orisha Inla by rolling a huge boulder down upon him. It smashed Orisha Inla into pieces, and the fragments became the Orishas. The Orishas came into being after the death of an earlier deity or god. This is fairly common in creation stories. A younger race of gods emerges from an older and more primitive one. It is this younger group that brings order to the new world and creates human beings to live there. For example, in Greek mythology, the gods of Olympus were the children of an earlier group of gods called the Titans. A terrible war left the Titans defeated and the Olympians triumphant. The god Prometheus then formed human beings out of clay, much as Obatala did in the Yoruba myth. Obatala is an interesting figure. He is known as the king of the white cloth because white is a symbol of creativity and male fertility. He is not all-powerful and all-knowing, nor is he the chief god in the Yoruban pantheon or group of gods. The sky god, Oluran, rules the Orishas. Oluran himself is not all-powerful, but he can do things that other Orishas cannot. When Obatala wants light in his new-made world, he calls upon Oluran to make the sun. Obatala can form people out of clay, but only Oluran can give them the breath of life. When Obatala decides to make a world, he has no idea where to start. He goes to seer Orunmila, who can probe the mysteries of life. Orunmila tells Obatala what needs to be done. Obatala faces many problems, but he does not give up. When the world he makes turns out to be imperfect, he does not stop loving it. He even admits his own mistakes and tries to repair the damage. Obatala's imperfection made him one of the most loved gods of the Yoruban pantheon. His appeal has proved to be timeless. Even today, traditional Yorubas honor Obatala and seek to live by the standards he had taught them. So that's just the introduction. I'm going to say at the end that, I'm not going to tell you my connection to it, but I will say this. When our African ancestors came over from Africa, and we had our different practices already and had our different gods or deities that we served, what we did within Catholicism was we were able to mask those deities within Catholicism because many of those saints were so similar to the deities of our own spiritual practices back home. And that's just to say that when I read this story, about Obatala and him creating the earth and all of this stuff, it might relate in your head to something that you've already heard and known about before and some other spiritual or religious teachings. And that's okay, but understand who was here first. All right, y'all. I'm going to come to y'all with the part 2. I'm probably going to read that in the car with my granny, so that way she can give her opinions of it. All right. You should know she just looked at me like she don't want to do it. But all right. Peace, love, Black power all day, every day. Ain't no other way. Love you.